Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel Public Void Geek. This is Sanam, and today we are gonna see the part 2 of the core data section, the to do app that we are working on. Right, so what we left is last time what we did was we created something like this, and we have already started saving data. So task 4 and save. So we are already saving the data, but it is not getting displayed over here. So let's try to display the data in the table view now. So head over to our view controller.swift, and inside this we are going to call, or we are going to fetch the data from core data. So let's go to import. Let's try to import the core data framework in this file as well, or in this view controller as well. I'm going to do command build. So I'm also going to do one more thing, which is table view dot is hidden is equal to true. So what I'm going to do is by default I'm going to set table view to be hidden, right? And once we have data inside our core data, then we are going to show this, right? So right now I know we have some data in the core data, but we're not fetching it, so it's not showing any table view right now. Okay? So let's get started. So what we need is a variable over here, and we will create a variable. Let's say var task array be equal to of type task, and it's an empty array, right? So we have task array. So all we need is data to be filled with all our core data to be filled inside this task array, and then we pull out data from this task array and show it in our table view, right? So let's create a function over here, and let's call it fetch data. Func fetch data. Actually, we're not going to use this. All right. So what I'm going to do is we have extension for our table view, and until here this is table view, and this is our main class view controller. And I'm going to extend this class further, and I'll add all the core data specific functions inside this uh, extension, right? So we can add those functions over here. So the first function that we need is func fetch data. So basically we need to fetch data in order to display that data to the table view, or feed that data to the table view. So let's try to create this function, or set up this function. I'm just going to copy this line because, as I said, we need this manage context, or the persistent container, basically from our app delegate, right? So we are going to need this in every function of where we want to interact with our core data, right? So inside this, I'm gonna say let uh, fetch request, or let request is equal to. So what we need to do is create a fetch request, and all that we need to do is ns fetch request, and then it's gonna ask for entity name and the string. So string is gonna be task. How do I know this? Is because we go here, this is the entity name task, right? So we are telling our app that within core data, this is the entity name that we want to interact with, right? And it's gonna throw an error, and let's try to fix it. So that's it. That's all we need to do for the request. And now let's try to use the manage context to fetch the data. Manage context dot fetch. It has a function called fetch, and we are gonna need this array, and it is asking for the request. So I'm gonna pass it the request. And since if you have seen that, let me just show it to you again. Manage dot fetch. So it says throws, right? So we need to do the uh, do try catch. So let's do that. Do, and then do try, and then catch. So it can throw an error. That's why we are trying it out, and if it works, Good. If it doesn't work, we're gonna print it out. Print unable to fetch data, and we can do it like this, and print error. All right. So we're trying to fetch the data over here, right? So we need to pass this data somewhere, and that somewhere is right over here. This is the variable, I mean the array that where we want to add this. So task array is equal to try manage context dot fetch request. So it is gonna give us error that this is not equal to the data type is not equal to this. So we can just say as task. So now this data is gonna go inside task array, right? And if you want, we can try to print this as well. So we need to create the completion handler here as well, because we need to know when the data has been completely pulled out from the uh, CoreData uh, framework or the CoreData database, right? So in order to do that, we will create a completion handler, and it's a simple completion handler. So we'll call completion and then complete and then bool, and it's gonna return nothing, and that's it. So this is the completion handler, and which we can pass it right over here. So completion. So if it's successful, we can say true, and if completion was not successful, we can say false. And we can also try to print uh, data fetched, no issues, right? So data has been fetched and no issues were found. So data task. So now we are able to uh, pull out the data. One more thing, error dot localized description is what we need to put, so that we know what error we are gonna be getting, or what type of error we are having in the application, and we can see that properly. Right. So we have this fetch data function. We can try to pull this, but I mean we can try to call this function in view did load, no issues. But view did load is only called once when our application is loaded, right? Or this view controller will be loaded for the first time. But when we go to the task we see, um, and then we come back, this view did load will not be called. So we can either use view will appear or view did appear. So I'm just gonna call view will appear function, and inside this I'm just gonna say fetch data, right? And completion done, and if done, then print data is ready to be used in table view, right? And let's try to run this, and let's see if everything is working properly now. So you can see data is ready to be used in table view, and then if we go here and we come back, we should be able to see this again. So data is ready to be used in table view. Right, so let's try to put this data inside the table view. Pretty simple task, since the data is already in an array now. So all we need to do is, instead of returning 2, we can say task array.count, and then for the text we can say task is equal to task array and index path dot row. Oh, dot row. So now the particular item in the task array has been assigned to task. So now we can say task dot description, and this should be enough. But we have one problem. Our table view is hidden by default. So if you can see, this is the function which is called in view did load, and inside this we have hidden our table view, right? So we can do something like this. We can remove this now, and we can say if task array dot count is greater than 0, then tv dot is hidden is equal to false, else tv dot is hidden is equal to true. Right, so if there is some data inside the task array, then we will display our table view, else we are going to keep it hidden, and probably we can show some text that please add some tasks to see in the tasker app or something like that, right? And this should be enough, I believe. Just one more thing that we need to do is a table view, which is tv dot reload data. And probably not something that I was expecting out of it. So this is where the data is coming, right? So let's go here, text. Right, so it should not be task dot description. I think what we created was task description, not description. So it should be task dot task description. This is what should come up, right? So let's try to run it again and let's see. Alright, so this is our first task, task 2, task 3, task 4, and let's try to create one more. Let's say task 5 and save. And we have our task 5 over here. Right, guys, so we are now able to save the data and we are able to fetch it. And yes, it is persistent. I'm going to close this app now and let's try to open again to do task 3, and we can see that data is available with us. Right, so um, let's try to do some more changes. Like let's first of all let's try to delete uh, one of these tasks. Right, guys, so let's try to quickly delete the row or the particular task from the core data and also update our table view. Again, the task, this is also very easy now since most of it is repetitive. So let's go to this extension that we created. So func delete data, and we're gonna, since we need to interact with core data, so we'll just copy this, put it here, and right. So now let's get started. Let's go to manage context dot. We have a function called delete object. So we can delete the object right over here, and the object that we want to delete is the task array. So basically what we want to do is the cell that we select or the cell that we swipe, right? The row, sorry, not the cell, the row that we are swiping. We want to delete that particular row, right? So index path dot row, and right over here we can say index path of type index path. Right, so calling this should delete the data. I mean, should delete, this will delete data from the core data, but it is not going to update the core data or not going to save. So if we delete it and then we come back to the app, the data is still going to show. So we want to delete it permanently, right? So in order to do that, we need to do one small thing, which is uh, let's go back to task VC and let's just copy this one. Do try catch, copy, go here and save this. So manage context dot save, rather let's say data deleted, and then we can say fail to delete data, and completion, probably we don't need it right now, so we are gonna do like this. So delete data. Now if we call this delete data function, it will delete the data uh, from core data, and it will update the core data as well. Okay, so how are we going to delete it? So as I said, we're going to swipe the table view in order to delete the data, and in order to swipe we need to do we need to add 2 to 3 protocol methods inside our table view extension right over here. So let's add it. The first one that we need is called can edit, and this is gonna be returning true. So now we have enabled the swipe functionality. The row can be edited, right? So the other one is editing style for row index path. So this is the one, and then there is another one which is edit action for row at index path. So these are the three functions that we need. For editing style, we can just say return dot. Uh, we can say dot none. So why I'm not selecting delete by default is because we will have multiple functions. Basically, we'll have two functions in swipe. So we'll have one function to delete and one function to mark it as completed, right? So in this one, we're gonna create the action. So the first action that I'm gonna create is the delete action. So let's say delete action is equal to UI table view row action, and style is gonna be dot, since it's delete for destructive, and let's call it delete, and handler is gonna return action and index path. So two things will be returned to us. We don't need action right now. All we need is the index path. All we care about is the index path. So we will do self dot delete data, and we will pass our index path. So doing this will delete the data from the table view. I mean, not the table view, but the core data. And we also need to remove the table view itself, right? So after the data has been deleted, we will uh, call the new data from the core data, right? So core data has been modified now. So we need to fetch the data again, right? So let's go back to this one, and this function we can just cut, and we can create a new function, func fetch fetchy data. Let's call it fetchy data, right? So fetchy data is here. So I can call fetchy data over here, fetchy data, and then we can call this fetchy data right over here. So after it has been deleted, we will fetch new data, and then after the new data has come, then we will also delete the, or do some animation on the table view, so that uh, the this is gonna be self, so that it shows some animation that the row has been cleared, and it will remove that particular row basically, right? So in order to do that, again, that is a very small table view function. So we can say table view, which is this table view. So table view dot delete uh, rows at, it's gonna ask for an array. So I'm gonna remove index path, and animation dot, come on, automatic. Right, so delete action has been done now. Delete action has been created, and it's gonna ask for return value. So I'm gonna return, and it's an array, so it's asking for an array over here. So return delete action, and I think that should be enough to delete. Let's try to run and see. So let's try to delete task 4, and you can see delete and gone. So task 3, task 5, let's try to close the application, reopen, and task 4 is gone. And let's try to delete task 3 as well. Nice. So task 3 is deleted, and one more function that we need to add, or the feature that we need to add, is updating the completion status. Right. So we can do one more thing over here, which is we can say delete action dot background color is equal to color literal, and select a red color. Probably this one is okay, right? And then let's try to create one more, or let's not create the action first. Let's create the function which will be responsible to func update task status. Right, so this function will update the task status, and again the task status has to be updated on a particular index path. So let's create this right now, index path, and then again, since we need to talk to our CoreData service over here, and now in order to update the task status, all we need is to change the value from true to false and false to true, right? So let's do that. Let task is equal to uh, task array, and then index path dot row. Why dot row. So now the particular item from the task array has been assigned to task, right? And we can say if task dot task status. So if task dot task status is equal to true, then we can do task dot task status is equal to false. Else task dot task status is equal to true. So basically, if it is false, then it will be changed to true. If it is true, then it will be changed to false, right? So we can, the, there might be a user, right, who has accidentally marked as complete. So he can swipe back, click on complete, and then it will revert back to uncompleted status. And then later, once he completes the task, he can mark it as complete, right? So this is what we needed. And then again, after this task, I mean, this part is done, then we just need to do one more thing. Again, you guys have guessed it, I guess. Just copy this. So we are just gonna update or save the core data, and we'll say task updated fail to update data. Right. So this should be enough, I believe, to update the status of the task. And let's create the action again. Let task status action is equal to UI table view row action, and style is gonna be this time normal, and completed, and handler we will say action, and index path, and we will say self dot, what did we call, update task. So update, why is it not coming? Try to build it. So index path will pass the index path over here. So this will update the, we're calling this function that we just created. It will update the task status, and it says there is no function, there is no member. Why? And gone. Alright, so now we have updated the task, and once again we have updated, so we need to fetch the new updated data, and then we're not going to delete anything, but we need to reload the data. So table view, or I'm going to show what's going to happen. So let's do one thing. Let's say task status action dot background color is equal to color literal, and let's set it to green, or no, this one should be actually, this is just a button, right? So let's try to run this. So you can see we cannot see this task status action because we have not updated the row. So we will do table view dot uh, reload rows at index path, and then the animation should be dot normal, or sorry, dot automatic. Requires an error, so index path. I think this is what we need. So now we should be able to see that yellow box which says completed, but it is not showing because we did not add it. So we need to add task status action, and you can see we have completed and deleted. If we click on deleted, gone. If we click on completed, completed, but nothing is happening. It says that data updated, data fetch, no issues, right? So what we can do is we can go back to our this one, and we can say cell dot background color is equal to color literal, and we can set it to this green, or probably this green, but we will do this only if task array, or no, task dot task status. So if task status is equal to true, then we will set this to this, and cell dot task label dot text is equal to text color is equal to color literal and white. So we'll see what's gonna happen now, right? So the task which is completed changed to green, and incompleted one has changed to white. So we can try to add one more. This is a final task in our app, save, and this one is completed. Right, guys, so this was the Tasky or the to-do app, and we did CoreData. We created data inside CoreData, we fetched that data, updated the data as well, and we have deleted that data as well. So CoreData is actually very simple, and that's why Apple is actually recommending it. In order to, they are actually saying that don't use model class at all, and rather use CoreData, so that you get, they are kind of giving you a model class, right? When you create an entity, it's kind of you're creating the model class, and then I mean data class, right? So they're kind of giving you that functionality or that feature already, and with that they're allowing you to uh, save the data as well persistently inside your device, right? So even if your app is closed and you open it again, your data is still there, right? So yeah, that's CoreData, and super simple, super easy. It's not at all difficult. If you have any problem in this video, this tutorial, please do let me know, and I'll try to probably make another video to explain anything that I missed out, right? And that's all for today, guys. Please like this video, please share the video, and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, bye bye.